the one and only Andre Agassi. He was the boy who said, "Image is everything." A mere ad slogan, but to him, a harsh verdict. In front of our eyes, he truly grew into a man of exceptional depth. All the while thrilling crowds on every continent with his brilliant tennis. A sport he now admits he long despised. Superstar athlete, prominent philanthropist. He created a school, and now his own education continues. Open, the Andre Agassi interview, a Tennis Channel Court Report special.
When it comes to Las Vegas or the sport of tennis, no one has ever made a bigger splash or commanded a brighter spotlight than Andre Agassi. His shocking autobiography, Open, lives up to its name. And for the next half hour, you'll hear all about his failures and the backlash this book has generated. I recently had the unique opportunity to sit down with this legendary tennis star and have a very candid conversation. My very first question. So within the last week, your book has garnered so much attention. Did you have any idea when you wrote this, there would be this type of reaction?
I had no real sense for, the power of a book, really. I'd never been through the process before. As it relates to the sensationalizing of particular revelations in the book, that I understand the reaction because, it's easy for me to understand why people would be angry at that or disappointed at that. I spent many years angry and disappointed at myself, but not telling the story in its full entirety wasn't an option for me.
Well, you said you expected that type of sensationalism. Did you expect people really to react that way to your admitted use of meth or the fact that you lied to the ATP and not have any compassion?
Well, I did expect that kind of reaction. I think, it took me years to process what it is I had actually lived through, what it is I had actually done, the things and mistakes that I've actually made. I don't expect anybody to be able to process that in a hurry, especially if you're just putting it in context of a headline. And this book needs to get out. It's a few pages in a powerful, in a majorly big life that has a lot of relevance on so many levels to so many people. And the context is everything, and that's going to take time. But ultimately, if the price that's paid is what a few people say, or even what a lot of people say, that's a price I got to be willing to pay.
Do you think that it's a story of redemption? That's how, when I read it, that's what I saw. I saw a struggle, and then I saw a revival.
Yeah.
Would you call it that?
I don't know if I would limit it to that. It's certainly an atonement in many ways. I was one of the lucky ones in life that got a second chance. And I think from that day that I had my second chance, that I survived what could have been catastrophic for me at the time.
What was your second chance?
My second chance is when I lied to the tennis officials and said that I accidentally ingested this drug. And as a result, I didn't get penalized 3 months, even though it was a horrific year for me anyhow. The shame I would have felt, the shame I did feel internally for so long after that, and the truth is, it's not the perception of me, but it's the truth of me. And my journey, when people saw me go from 141 in the world back to #1, they saw me climb Mount Everest. They didn't understand that I was starting at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And I think this book takes somebody through that journey.
Our conversation continues in a moment with a compelling look at his relationships. You're watching Open, the Andre Agassi interview, a Tennis Channel Court Report special. Welcome back to Open, the Andre Agassi interview, a Tennis Channel Court Report special. Here is where it all started for Andre Agassi, a modest house tucked away in Las Vegas. But while for many of us a childhood home is often a safe haven, for Andre, it was a living hell, a tennis-crazed environment. I think that you wrote very candidly and eloquently about your relationship with your father. And that too is a journey, right? And has he read this book?
No, he told me a long time ago. I wanted to include him in the process because I went to great pains with a number of people in my life that are, you know, unfortunately highlighted on some level. You know, this was a book designed to shine a light mostly on me, so I made a goal to be harder on myself than anybody. At the same time, you know, I believe it's a honest, loving portrait of my father. I mean, my father is a man who believes strongly in things, and he told me from the second I asked him about the book, I don't need to read your book, I was there, what the heck I need to read your book for? Yeah. He goes, you know, and if I could do this all over again, by the way, I'd do the same thing, except it wouldn't be tennis, it'd be golf, or it'd be baseball, because you can play longer.
In his book, Andre Agassi uses 3 simple but deeply revealing words to describe his greatest rival, Pete Sampras. As always, Pete. And though over 3 different decades they played one another 34 times, Agassi writes with exceptional pain about one match that stood out from the others. This is chapter 19, you write, I don't want to admit to myself that a loss to Pete can have that kind of lingering effect. This is right after you lost the U.S. Open.
Yeah,
95.
Yeah.
What kind of lingering effect?
Well, you have to understand that tennis never been something that I chose. I found myself being pained by it in many, many ways. One of the ways came at Wimbledon in 1995 when I lost to Boris Becker. And afterwards he went in the press room and talked about what people really think of me. He says, players don't like him, I'm an elitist. He's made all these personal kind of comments. And you know, it left a real mark on me because it hit me in a place that was just, it was personal, and it reminded me of how meaningless all of this felt. I turned that emotion into anger in the summer of 1995. I refer to that summer as a summer of revenge. And as I worked through that summer, I'm beating everybody, all the while not liking and not respecting myself for the motivation I was actually using. I get to the semifinals of the U.S. Open, play Becker again. We have this, you know, heated grudge match that is, I think, a kind of a well-told story. And I get to the finals against Pete, and I had nothing left. And I went 26-0 that summer leading into that match, only to lose to Pete, which happened a lot of the time. And when you're left winning 26 straight matches and losing one and feeling like a loser, it only magnifies your sense that, what is this all about? It's not even something I want to do, and even when I was winning, I didn't like the feelings I had going through it. I just didn't want anything to do with this. It just put a magnifying glass on what it is that I was really struggling with.
He wouldn't be Andre Agassi if he didn't touch all the bases. Pain and joy, victory and defeat, friendship and solitude. This book has it all. And yet the reality is that even those enormous concepts don't quite describe the way Andre eventually found true love. There were a lot of funny moments in this book. While it was really heavy, a lot of funny moments. I personally, as a woman, enjoyed your pursuit of your wife, your current wife.
Sure.
And you talked about how you guys would sit around the room and use words like intel and recon when you wanted to figure out, like, how can I get with this girl? I mean, I love her already. I think that was so romantic. Do you guys still to this day, what did she think about the book? Did she think that was so funny the way you remember?
Well, sure. She's proud of it, the book. She was part of this process. But as far as she goes, she knows that she just can't hide from that reality. I was basically stalking her, you know.
Yeah,
like
it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about her like we're storming the beach at Normandy or something. How do we figure out the strengths and weaknesses? But no, it was a fun time of my life.
Well, how did the tide turn? Because according to the book, she was not giving you any love at all. So when did she turn around and say, yeah, I think this guy might be worth it?
When did I sense like just a crack of light? Just like,
I'm going to say the birthday card.
That was the first time. You're
really?
on it. Yeah, that was the first time.
Really? Oh.
So I was, I made her a birthday card on the plane because I was landing on the same day when I arrived at Wimbledon, and she came over and congratulated me for Paris because she said she shed some tears on my win, and I said likewise with her, and then she showed a little weakness.
Don't go anywhere. Coming up next, we dive into how the tennis world is reacting to his astounding drug revelation. You're watching Open, the Andre Agassi interview, a Tennis Channel Court Report special.